Hey guys, today we are going to read more Rascal. And guys, we are starting from chapter 5. and we are going to read probably 4 more chapters. And then we are going to read the last chapters. And then we are going to be done with the book. And do not forget to like and subscribe, or else. Because if you don't, we will have no more Puppy Bliss books. Oh, that would just be sad. And so, guys, we are going to get started with page 30 all the way to chapter 8. Let's get into it. Chapter 5. Almost there. Maria bounced up and down on the seat as her dad's blue car rumbled down a long, bumpy dirt driveway. I can't believe you finally made it to the stable. Me neither, Lizzie said, hopping. The nervousness in her voice sounded more like excitement. Her first riding lesson was finally about to happen. Her mom had insisted that Lizzie deserved a break from Rascal, so she couldn't use that excuse anymore. Within a half an hour, she was going to be on the back of some gigantic horse. If she was lucky, if she was unlucky, she would be lying in the dust after being bucked off. Lizzie shivered just thinking about it made her heart beat. You are going to love it here, I promise, Maria babbled on. Everybody's so friendly, and the horses are the best, and Kathy is so cool. She knows everything there is to know about riding and caring for the horses. Remember how I told you about that one horse, Tony, who got hurt? Tony, who hurt his leg? Kathy and Wyan have been taking care of him, and he's almost ready to ride again. Great, said Lizzie said. Maria barely seemed to notice whether she said anything or not. Her friend was so excited that she just kept talking. Lizzie wasn't even sure which of the names Maria mentioned belonged to her two horses and which were people. Sally, Frankie, Tony, Kathy, Van and Vanessa, Pokey, Sir Galahad. The names just blended into one another. Hey, gal, slow down, Maria's father said, patting his daughter on the shoulder. Give Lizzie a chance to get to know the place in your own way. But Maria just kept bouncing in her seat. Here we are, and she sang out as the car pulled to a stop in front of the weathered old barn. Next to it was a riding ring, a dusty circle of dirt, enclosed by a wooden fence. And next to that was a paddock. The grassy area where the horses grazed. Look, there's Tony, she pointed to a white horse with big black spots. He was yanking grass out of the ground in the paddock, whisking his long black tail as he chewed. He's a pain, you know, like an Indian pony. Tony, she called. She made a clucking noise with her tongue as she and Lizzie climbed out of the car and Tony came trotting over. Maria's dad waved and drove off. Lizzie watched him go, wishing she were still in the car. Maria handed Lizzie a big carrot. Here, give him this, and he'll love you forever. she said. Lizzie stood frozen in place. Go ahead, Maria said. He won't hurt you. Lizzie laughed nervously. I know that, she said. Here, I'll go first. Tony's teeth looked awfully big when he took Maria's carrot. Tony reached his nose through the fence and bumped it against Lizzie's arm. Hey, she said. He just wants your carrot, Maria told her. Carefully, Lizzie held up the carrot the way she had seen Maria do it, on her flat, outstretched hand. Tony took it gently. Lizzie didn't feel a thing except his warm breath on her hand. She could smell the horsey smell now that she was up close to him, and she kind of liked it. His coat was shiny, and his nose looked as soft as velvet. You can pat him, Maria urged. Slowly, Lizzie reached up a hand and patted Tony's neck. His ears twitched, and he blew out some air. As he leaned toward her, she pulled away, but she wasn't really scared. Maybe some horses were mean, but Tony was obviously harmless and sweet. He likes you, Maria said. Has Tony ever met anyone he didn't like, especially if they give him carrots? A woman in jeans and a blue work shirt had come up next to them. She was smiling. You must be Lizzie, she said, sticking out her hand. I'm Kathy, glad to see you. She can ride today, right? Maria asked. Kathy paused for a second and looked Lizzie over. Sure, she said. I think she'd enjoy riding Sally, don't you? Perfect, agreed Maria. I'll go tack her up. Lizzie pictured a big horse tacked to a bulletin board. What? She asked. I'm going to put on her saddle and bridle, Maria explained. That stuff is called tack. She pulled Lizzie by the hand. Come on, I'll show you how to do it. Next time you can get your own horse tacked up. Lizzie followed Maria into the dark, shady barn. It smelled musty and sweet, like hay and horses and letter. Letter. Lizzie took in a deep breath as she walked down the aisle with Maria. Horses leaned down their stall doors to nicker hello, and Maria told Lizzie everyone's name, pointing to the hand-carved signs nailed by each stall. That's Willie and Jasper and Treasure, she said. The black one is Jet. She's a little skittish. I like this one, Lizzie said, looking at a gold horse with a pale gold name. That's Minx. She's a Palomino. Isn't she the gorgeousness? Sally turned out to be a sweet gray horse, not too big and very friendly. Maria took Lizzie into the tack room to grab a saddle and bridle. She Sally out of her stall. The mare waited patiently while Maria gave her how to check it. The girth was tight enough when Sally let Lizzie walk out toward the red riding ring. Kathy met them at the barn door. Up you go, she said, pointing to a large step. You can stand on the block to make it easier. Lizzie hesitated. Go ahead, said Kathy. Just put your left foot into the stirrup and throw your right leg over and her back. She'll stand there all day until you're ready, but the sooner you get on, the sooner you can be riding. Before she knew it, Lizzie was sitting high up on Sally's back, riding her around the ring at an easy, slow walk, while Kathy guided the horse with a long rope called a lead line. Kathy said encouraging this things like, "Great, keep your heels down and your head up, elbows out." "Excellent. You look great on her," Maria said. She was grinning from ear to ear. So was Lizzie. Riding had definitely taken her mind off Rascal to surprise. She was having the best time ever. Chapter 6. Rascal, no! Lizzie could not believe how many times she had said those words in the last 10 minutes. She and Rascal and Charles were at the puppy kindergarten again. They were trying their best to follow Jamie's directions. Well, Lizzie and Charles were trying to follow directions. Rascal, he was just trying to cause as much trouble as possible. Or at least that's the way it seemed. How could you be so smart and so cute, but also be such a pest? Lizzie asked the puppy. They were supposed to be practicing walking on a leash. All the owners and puppies were going in a big circle around the gym. Rascal had already barked at the bulldog puppy, chased the dachshunds, and pounced on the lab puppy, and both poodles, and not during playtime either. He had done all that during the lesson on sitting. Now they were trying to walk, but he kept grabbing the leash in his teeth and shaking it, growling. His little puppy growls. Grr, grr! Rascal was teaching that leash a lesson. Silly thing! Would these people ever understand that he needed to run, run, run? He did stop for a second when Lizzie said no. He gazed up at her with his head cocked to one side. He looked like he was asking, "Who, me?" His black eyes were shiny. His right ear stood straight up, and his left ear flopped over. His whiskers were twitching. Rascal looked as if he could really understand what she was saying, even if he couldn't answer. Lizzie felt her heart melt. This sweet, smart, wild puppy really deserved to find a wonderful, loving home. But if he couldn't learn to behave, who would ever take him? "Okay, good job, everybody," Jamie was saying. Lizzie and Charles exchanged a look. They knew she didn't mean Rascal. When she said everybody, the other puppies weren't perfect either. For example, Bullwinkle, the bulldog, absolutely hated to walk on a leash. His owner would tug on the leash, but Bullwinkle would not budge, not even an inch. The bulldog's wrinkled, flat face made him look so stubborn that Lizzie had to laugh. Trixie, that's my other corgi stuffed animal's name. The corgi had an habit of sneaking up to other puppies and stealing their toys. No matter how many of her own toys her owners brought along, fluffy ones, squeaky ones, balls, tug toys, Trixie always liked the other puppies' toys better. But Rascal was the worst by far. It was as if he always had to be the center of attention. He couldn't stand it when Jamie talked for too long, or when one of the other puppies was being praised. He would bark and jump and scurry around. Lizzie had to pick him up so he would calm down. "How is he doing at home?" Jamie asked. She had come up to Lizzie and Charles during a short break. She reached down to scratch Rascal's under the chin, which made him wag his tail as hard as he could. Lizzie sighed. "Well, he's not chewing as many things," she said, "but that's only because he's kind of locked up in the kitchen most of the time. He's learning to come when we call his name, Charles reported. Remember, Lizzie? He did it yesterday, 5 times in a row. That is true. Lizzie agreed. He really is very smart. He just has too much energy. Jamie nodded thoughtfully. He may just need lots of exercise and room to run, she said. She looked around the gym and saw that the other owners were back from break. All right, she said, walking back to the middle of the circle. Let's ask our dogs to stay. Lizzie groaned, not loudly enough for Jamie to hear, just a little tiny groan. So far, Rascal was not doing too well with the stay thing. Remember, we want to help the dogs do well, so we're going to start by asking them to stay. Only for about 2 seconds, Jamie said. If they manage that, we'll give them a treat and lots of praise. Then next time, we'll ask for 3 seconds. She had the owner's face. Their puppies holding the leash. A few of the puppies looked up at the owners, waiting to see what they wanted. But Rascal, like most of puppies, looked off in another direction, distracted by every noise and smell. This place was great. Rascal loved being around all the other dogs, but what was the point if he couldn't play with them? What could possibly be more important than playing? Okay, now ask your dog to sit, said Jamie. Sit, chortled all the owners. 4 dogs sat, but the lab puppy fell down and rolled over. Rascal started barking and jumping up and down. The German Shepherd puppy backed up and stood where, twitching his big ears and staring at Rascal. The Dachshund sniffed the floor. Charles, whose turn it was to hold Rascal's leash, looked helplessly at Lizzie. Jamie ignored Rascal. Great, she said. Now put your hand out and raise the palm so it's facing the dog. Now tell your dog to stay. Stay, everyone said. Charles said it too. Lizzie doubted whether Rascal could hear the command. The puppy was too busy barking. And 1 and 2 and okay, said Jamie. All the dog owners said the release word. Okay, the dogs jumped up, tails wagging. Rascals just kept bouncing and barking. Well, I think that's about all the time we have tonight, Jamie said, checking the clock on the wall. See you next time. Lizzie and Charles were heading outside when Jamie stopped them at the door. I really hate to say this, she said, with a very serious look on her face, but I don't think Rascal is. Well, I don't think he's fitting in here. I thought we could help him, but he is making it too hard for the other dogs to learn. I'm afraid I have to ask you not to bring him to class anymore. Lizzie looked down at her sneakers. She known this was going to happen. Rascal was getting kicked out of puppy kindergarten. If you'd like, you can bring him in for some private lessons, Jamie went on in a gentle voice. But to tell you the truth, he'd need a ton of training to be the right dog for a regular house and family. He may need a different kind of home. Lizzie looked at her and then down at Rascal. What was Jamie saying? Did she mean that Rascal could never learn to behave? But then how could the Petersons ever find him a good home? What kind of foster family were they if they couldn't help Rascal? Rascal wondered why the people were being so serious. They had been having such a good time, jumping and barking and playing. Why was the girl looking at him that way? Chapter 7. This is so awesome, Maria said. She and Lizzie were standing in the stable, putting Sally's saddle on again. I can't believe your parents let you sign up for riding lessons. They said I deserve it because I've been working so hard with Rascal, Lizzie said. She patted Sally's neck. The old mare nickered softly. Lizzie was happy to be back at the stable. Is he learning to behave? Maria asked as she tugged on a stirrup. Not really, Lizzie admitted. Mom gave me and Charles 1 more week to try to teach him indoor manners. After that, she said, we'll have to give him to the animal shelter and hope they can find him a home. Maria shook her head. That wouldn't be good, she said. You can give him a lot more attention, but you'll figure something out. I'm sure of it. You're so great with dogs. I was great with dogs, Lizzie said, but this one, I don't know. Well, forget about Rascal for a little while. Maria said, let's think about horses instead. Sounds good, said Lizzie. Sally's just about ready for you to ride, Maria said. Why don't you go grab my extra helmet from the tack room while I tack up Major? Major was Maria's favorite horse, a shiny chestnut with a white star on his forehead. After she got the helmet, Lizzie wandered down the stable aisle, waiting for Maria. She said hello to some of the horses she had met the other day, Treasure, Jasper, Willie. She even patted Minx, the beautiful palomino. But she stayed away from Jet, the black horse that Maria had called skittish. Lizzie wasn't sure what that meant, but it might have something to do with kicking or biting. Lizzie was getting used to horses. She wasn't nearly as scared as them as she had been, but she still thought it was the best to be careful. Then Lizzie looked down at the last stall and caught a glimpse of a glossy brown horse. It had a big noble head and a soft dark eyes that met Lizzie's with curiosity. Wow, Lizzie said. She didn't know much about horses, but she could tell at a glance that this one was special. She started walking toward its stall. The horses tossed its head and whined, and as she approached, she stopped for a moment, but then she couldn't resist moving closer. There was a sudden booming voice. Lizzie stopped in her tracks. What was that? Lizzie, stop, Maria called from the other end of the aisle. Don't go any closer. Lizzie backed up a few steps, keeping her eye on the horse, who was now tossing its head against the whites of its eyes, were showing, and its ears were pointed back. Lizzie knew that when a dog's ears looked like it was often scared or mad, that was probably true for horses too. Maria ran up to Lizzie. That's Sir Galahad, she said. Isn't he gorgeous? Lizzie nodded. He was the most beautiful horse she had ever seen. His glossy brown coat was gleaming, and his black mane and tail were long and silky. Is he dangerous? She asked. Maria shook her head. No, he's just cranky. That noise you heard, he was kicking the sides of his stall. Lizzie was glad he wasn't kicking her. Sir Galahad was a big horse. He seemed twice as big as Sally. Why's he kicking? He's just been a big old grouch lately, Maria said. He's Kaffee's horse. He's an amazing jumper. She used him to show him all the time, but now he's so moody that she doesn't take him to the horse shows. I think he's bored, and that just makes him grouchier. You're probably right, someone said. It was Kaffee joining them near Sir Galahad's stall. She walked right up to the big horse and rubbed his nose. He snorted but didn't move any away. Silly guy, she said. Why can't you be a nice like you used to be? Lizzie sighed. It's so hard to get animals to do what you want them to do, she said. Kaffee gave a curious look. That's definitely true, she said. But what animals are you having trouble with? Not Sally, she's a star. No, Lizzie said. It's this puppy my family is fostering. She told Kaffee a little bit about Rascal. Kaffee listened and nodded. My husband, Wyan, and I used to have a Jack Russell, she said. Pepper. He was kind of the stable mascot. Did you know that you can often find Jack Russells at stables? They seem to get along well with horses. Anyway, Pepper died 6 months ago. I still miss him like crazy, the little devil, she laughed. Those dogs are so energetic. It makes them hard to train, even though they're so smart. That made Lizzie feel better. Kaffee thought for a moment. Would you like to bring your little guy here next time? Maybe if I met him, I could help with some training ideas. Really? Lizzie asked. She had already started to have another of her great ideas. Maybe Kaffee would want to adopt Rascal. He could live at the stable with plenty of room to run and play, and gets lots of attention, too. Lizzie could not imagine a better home for a little pup. That would be awesome. Are you sure? Kaffee nodded. I know it will make me sad to see a Jack Russell. Wyan and I have already decided if we get another dog, it will be a different breed. We could get another replace Pepper, but still, it sounds like you could use some help with this little rascal. I definitely can, Lizzie said. Her great idea had not lasted very long. It sounded like Rascal would not find a home at the stable, but it would still be fun to take him there. Thanks. And now, Kaffee said, I think someone is waiting for you. She pointed down the aisle to where Sally stood patiently. Ready for your lesson? Chapter 8. So guys, we are going to end this video right here, and bye!